forced to mix their own foundations to find the right shade. Rihanna was about to change that with 40 shades of foundation, ensuring no one was left out. Her business empire was expanding faster than she could have imagined. Meetings with top investors, partnerships with luxury brands, she was building something that would outlive her music career. She was at the top of the world. But when you're that high up, the fall is always harder. It was 2016, and Rihanna was unstoppable. Her latest album, Anti, was dominating every streaming platform. Work was the song of the summer, and Needed Me had become an anthem of self-empowerment. But her influence extended far beyond music. Fenty Beauty was about to launch, and it wasn't just another celebrity makeup brand, it was a revolution. For years, people of color had been ignored by the beauty industry. When Rihanna signed a multi-million-dollar partnership with a powerful global corporation to expand her fashion line, it seemed like another brilliant move. The company had the reach and resources to bring Fenty to every corner of the world. But within days, whispers of controversy started to grow louder. Activists, journalists, and fans began digging into the company's history, and what they found was disturbing. Reports surfaced that the company had been linked to unethical labor practices, factories in developing countries, where workers were underpaid, mistreated, and forced to work in inhumane conditions. The company had been accused of sourcing materials from suppliers known for exploiting child labor. At first, Rihanna's team dismissed the concerns. They reassured her that the company had cleaned up its practices, that the reports were outdated. But the internet doesn't forget. Social media exploded. #CancelRihanna began trending. The same fans who had once defended her against critics were now calling for boycotts. Journalists published scathing think pieces. Activists demanded an apology. Rihanna's DMs were flooded with messages, not just from random internet users but from people who had supported her for years. Some were hurt. Others were furious. She wasn't used to this kind of backlash. She had spent years being celebrated for her authenticity, her boldness, her refusal to conform. But now, people were accusing her of turning her back on the very values she claimed to stand for. For the first time in her career, Rihanna felt like she was losing control of the narrative. Rihanna had never been the type to crumble under pressure. But this was different. She wasn't just being criticized, she was being accused of hypocrisy, of betraying the very people who had made her a star. She canceled public appearances. Sponsors started to waver. Some of the biggest retailers carrying Fenty products were considering pulling them from shelves. Her team was divided. Some wanted her to release a generic apology and move on. Others told her to fight back. But Rihanna knew she couldn't just put out a statement and hope for the best. She needed to know the truth. For days, she buried herself in research. She spoke to experts, to human rights organizations, to people who had been on the ground investigating these companies. What she found was worse than she had imagined. The company she had partnered with had indeed been involved in exploitation, underpaid workers in dangerous conditions, children forced into labor, promises of reform that were nothing but PR stunts. She felt sick. She thought of the little girl she had once been, growing up in Barbados, dreaming of a better life. Had she become part of the very system she had always fought against? That was the moment she made her decision. When Rihanna finally spoke, the world listened. She didn't release a carefully crafted PR statement. She didn't try to deflect blame. Instead, she stood in front of cameras, raw and unfiltered, and told the truth. I built my career on honesty, and I owe that to my fans. I made a mistake. When I signed this deal, I believed I was working with a company that shared my values. I was wrong. And I take full responsibility for that mistake. She announced that she was cutting all ties with the company, no matter the financial loss. Money is not worth more than people's lives. If I lose everything because of this, so be it. I would rather walk away from my empire than be part of something that causes harm. The room was silent. Then, a journalist asked the question everyone was thinking. Do you think this will ruin your career? Rihanna looked straight into the camera. I don't care. The moment the press conference ended, everything changed. Fans who had turned against her now saw her in a new light. Instead of canceling her, they respected her for owning up to her mistake. Instead of being another celebrity trying to cover up a scandal, she became an example of how to take accountability. And she didn't stop there. Versailles and Metanchi personally invested in ethical fashion brands. She partnered with organizations that fought against labor exploitation. She vowed that Fenty would only work with companies that met the highest ethical standards. The controversy that could have ended her career became a turning point in her legacy. By the time she released her next album and expanded her business empire, she was bigger than ever. But more importantly, she had proven something to the world: when faced with adversity, she didn't back down. She fought for what was right. And that's why, despite everything, Rihanna remains unstoppable. Years later, in an exclusive interview, Rihanna reflected on the incident. I learned that success isn't just about making money, it's about doing the right thing, even when it's hard. That controversy could have destroyed me. Instead, it made me stronger. Her words resonated beyond the music industry. Business leaders, young entrepreneurs, and even her critics respected her for how she handled it. And as Rihanna continued to break barriers in music, business, and philanthropy, one thing became clear: she was more than just a pop star. She was a force of nature. And that's the story of resilience, redemption, and the power of taking responsibility. Life isn't just about success, it's about the choices we make, the lessons we learn, and the impact we leave behind. Rihanna's journey reminds us that even in our lowest moments, we have the power to rise, to change, and to do better. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments. And if you love stories that inspire, surprise, and make you think, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Storystorm, where every story leaves a mark. See you in the next one. Asterisk.